14 Floresville City Council Candidate Forum, and we appreciate your interest in the electoral process and your interest in the city of Floresville and its growth and success by your presence here this evening. I'd like to introduce you to the candidates before we get started, and also just to let you know that this forum and our print candidates forum are both services presented by the Wilson County News and just facilitated by us as an opportunity for you, the voters and the residents of our county and city, to meet and to respond to the candidates and for them to meet you and respond to questions and concerns from citizens. From the far side of the table, we have the candidates for Council Place 1, Frank S. Ramirez, a place for Daniel M. Tejada, Harry Grove. Council Place 2 is unopposed, that would be Juan Ortiz. And the candidates for Mayor, Diana Garza and Tomas Robles. All candidates were invited to this forum by letter from the Wilson County News on 2 separate occasions, and our print invitation in the newspaper 2 separate weeks, and a personal phone call from me. Some expressed an inability to attend, and a couple were not responsive. Our format this evening is that each candidate will offer a brief introduction of him or herself and a little bit of background, and after that we will get underway with several posed questions and their responses, and then we will take questions from the floor. And there will be a break if it's needed, and then we'll follow up. So we will begin with Frank Ramirez, candidate for Council Place 1. If you would like to introduce yourself briefly, sir. And there's a mic in the middle here that can be passed. Before we go any further, also this is City Manager Henrietta Turner, for any of you who have not met her, who's helping us facilitate this forum this evening.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Council, for the invitation. The Wilson County News for the invitation to be here at this forum, and thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Thank you for responding.
Okay, first thing first, my name is Frank S. Ramirez. I seek place 1 of the Floresville City Council. I've lived in Floresville for most of my 56 years. I've been married for 33 years. I have 4 children, raised 4 more. They all graduated from Floresville High School. And the reason why I came out to this place, to seek this place on this city council, was a multitude of reasons. But the main reason is you come to a point where you understand and you want to make a stand. So that was one of the main reasons. So I'm here, and I've listened to advice from all over around the city, some major advice from the leading people around the city, to get their input as far as doing matters in city business. And the interest is what I want to look after for the city of Floresville. I've been living here, and I see that there's hardly any changes. No changes. So I'm going to try. That's all I can do. It's better to do something than not to do nothing at all. So anything else I have to, if you give me a little time, I can go over my notes a little bit, and I'm willing to move forward Floresville forward. You just look around you. There's a lot of things that is happening. There's a lot of things happening.
There will be time to elaborate on those during the question and answer
Okay,
process,
yes, ma'am, and that's who I am. So, thank you, and thank you very much.
Good evening, I'm Harry Grove. Thanks for coming. And thank you, Nanette. This is really great. In 1996, I was selling my last piece of property in San Antonio, and I wanted to find, a nice little town to live in for the rest of my life. So I drew an arc 30 miles around the south side of San Antonio. I'd spent a lot of my years up at Medina Lake in the hills and rocks, and I was tired of hills and rocks. So I started in Castroville and worked my way around the south side, and when I came down 181, there was a sign out here on C Street that said downtown shopping. Well, I never knew there was a downtown all the times I'd gone to the coast down 181, so I drove downtown. God, I fell in love with it. Took me a long time to find a place that I really wanted, but I did, and I've been here ever since. In '98, I was introduced into the Chamber of Commerce and really enjoyed being in that organization, and then I was appointed to the EDC board, and I think that was '99. During that exercise, Mayor Ramirez asked me to form a committee to find acreage for the Floresville's first industrial park. And that 304 acres is now almost sold out. That's what we bought. Everybody thought we were nuts, but it worked. In 2001, we were dedicated by the then First Lady of the state, Anita Perry, as a Texas Main Street city. And I was asked to be the Main Street manager. So for 4 years, we worked on rehabilitating the downtown area. That is the emphasis of the Texas Main Street program, is to fix the little towns in the state that have suffered from having the bypasses miss their towns starting back in the early 60s. So that's how I became interested in public service. We did so many things, I'm not going to go through the list. But one of the neat things is the logo for the city. I designed that on a napkin down in Olivia's one morning for breakfast. I designed and built a prototype for the antique street lamps that go around the courthouse square. And our foundry right here in Floresville made them. So I figured this is probably my last chance at public service to help Floresville, and that's why I decided to raise my hand and jump into the fray. I'd love to help get it going again, do some wonderful things, have some fun. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Robles, and the reason I'm running for mayor is that there's a lot of things going on here in Floresville that, I was born and raised here in Floresville. For the old timers, and I said older people, my doctor was Dr. Blake. And you know who Dr. Blake is? That was my doctor, And in 1976, I dropped out of high school and joined the military because I grew up in Fairview. And if you know where Fairview's at, it was nothing but farming and working in the fields from sun up to sundown. And by joining the military, I learned a lot as far as how to be structured, how to be organized, and how to be a leader and be a manager at the same time. And this is one of the things that I see in Floresville, that there's no leadership, and there's not, people are just not willing to work with people and have some type of justice. There's always one side and forget the other side, and that's why I'm running for mayor. Even though people think that who is Tom Robles? I came back in 2007 after retiring and came back over here to Floresville, spent some time around here, and my dad passed away, and then I decided to start doing my things on my own. Like I said, there's a lot of things that is happening here in Floresville, and this oil boom is passing us by. You go to Pleasanton, you go to Jerrington, and it's almost like Fort Worth and Dallas. They're hooked up together. There's a lot of things going on in all what you read in Floresville newspapers. Somebody's suing somebody, somebody's taking money, somebody running off. And we need to make some of these changes. And right now, I'm retired. I don't work. And when I work, it's out there in my ranch. that I can make a big changes here in Floresville because I like to talk to people and work with people. And I definitely like to work with a lot of veterans and older people, you know, because they're the ones that, you know, the roots of Floresville. And I think that that's why I'm more motivated. Mr. Dewitt here, he was my barber since I was a little kid. My dad used to bring us here, you know, and we used to come over here and sit down over and watch the movies, and Mom used to do laundry, and we used to run around, and it was 10 of us in one little car. We used to come over here, but that was only Saturdays, you know, and the rest of the time was working and working and working. We used to go to school 4 days out of the week, and one day we had to stay home and work in the farm, either working in the peanut field, watermelon field, or hauling hay or something. And that's why I dropped out of high school and joined the military. I said, this is not for me, you know. And I spent 21 years in the military. I got my diploma in Alaska, Juneau, Alaska. I went to school and got my diploma, and then I took some courses, college courses. And believe it or not, I went to college in Chattahoochee Valley Community College in Georgia, or actually Phoenix City, Alabama. And everybody asked, where'd you go to school or college? Chattahoochee. They think I'm just joking, but that's the name of the university that I went to, junior college. And I was studying criminal justice. And that's what I wanted to do. When I retired, I wanted to be a border patrol. I was 39 years old, and I couldn't be a border patrol because the requirement was 38 years old. So I couldn't do it, you know. But I spent my 21 years as an infantry guy, always in the front line with the soldiers, always, you know, exercising, fitness, and that's what I believe in, you know, being a leader. And I have here, if you spend some time in the military, you know what the NCO Creed, that's what we live by, you know. There's nobody more professional than I, and that was our thing, you know. And that's what I believe in, that, you know, do it right, and you don't have to come back and do it again. So, if you have any questions, please ask me. Thank you.
At this time, we'll proceed with the questions that were posed to the candidates in their invitation letter. The first one is, share your thoughts on uniting the city and encouraging all residents to participate actively in Floresville's growth and future. And we're going to go from Mr. Robles to Mr. Grove to Mr. Ramirez.
You know, I like to do things and organize things. That's just my life. And I've been talking to a lot of business people here in Floresville. And, you know, there's a vision that I have. We've done so many things here in Floresville, but, you know, we never got the community together except for, like, the peanut festival and stuff like this. But one thing that I've been doing with all these businesses here in Floresville, I've been asking them if they were willing to donate 1 turkey or 2 turkeys or maybe 3 turkeys. And go to the Civic Center and do like Jimenez Thanksgiving thing, do a turkey, you know, for not just for the city, but for the county. And bring everybody together, and the ones that are, you know, they can bring gifts for like kids and stuff like that, to donate gifts, and then on Christmas, have a Christmas ham dinner, and for the kids that are needy, they have presents and stuff like that. And I think that's what the community is lacking right now. Everybody's like split up, everybody's going different directions, everybody's backstabbing everybody, but you know, we need to work together and be a community and be happy. And I always said that if you're not happy, you're living miserable. And that's my belief. Thank you.
Well, that was the Main Street program, actually. Uniting the city and encouraging all residents to participate actively in Floresville's growth and future. And that's what we did. I'd like to see it happen again. I don't know whether we could reinvest in Main Street or not, but there's so many things that the town could unite on in that regard to to have fun. I don't know if y'all remember the sidewalk sales we had every quarter for 4 years. Man, we closed down the town and people would come in from all around the state just to sell their stuff. It was a blast. And uniting the town also is affected by how people perceive their leaders. And when the leaders are doing fine things and the town is being managed correctly and smoothly and the leaders are happy and having fun, then the rest of the town, it wears off on the rest of the town. Everybody gets along. And I'd like to be a part of that. I don't know if the mayor and the city manager, if I were to win, if they would let me tell a joke at council meetings. I don't know if they can do that or not, but, you know, get everybody laughing. That's what I'd like to do. Thank you.
Yeah, laughter would be good, right? Anyway, try to unite the city. You said, I believe we need to ask the citizens of Floresville. You know, we need to go out there and ask them personally. How do we do that? Well, we can mail out questionnaires, you know, asking them about their basic services, water, gas, electric, to name just three. And we asked them to rate them, marking number 1 for good, number 2 for bad. And then we asked them why did they make that answer? This will serve two main things. This will bring activism amongst our citizens. And the second thing, it will reveal the council of their thoughts. We can further offer things with the data. We can break it down to geographical sections. This section said this section said that. We get a common thread. There are other ways and ideas of servicing the people of Floresville. And then to ask them, to get them to help us, help the council. So that's one way to get it to unite the city. So there's other ideas, plenty. You know, those are the services that people need. That everyday life. So get to the issues at hand. So anyway, thank you very much.
Next, we'll start with Harry and then go to Frank and then come back to Mr. Robles. Name 2 priorities facing the city of Floresville and how you plan to approach them.
I've kind of struggled with that one because I've been out of touch last couple of years, and I'm really kind of a victim of what I hear on the street and what I read in the newspaper. I think one of the priorities that we're all facing is how can we turn the event center into a wonderful thing for our city, make it as profitable as we can make it, and at the same time market Floresville outside of Wilson County. Get more participation of big events, conventions, and whatever into the event center so that it becomes more profitable and not such a drain on the city. I understand it's a drain on the city. Is that correct, City Manager? So I'd like to help do that, the marketing end of it. Try to help get the event center on its feet and running. The other part of the financial picture of the city is I'd like to help fix the little things. I'm a fixer. My parents were children of the Depression, and they taught me how to fix anything if it broke. So the tiny little things in the financial end of the city, I'd like to help work out the budget, get them fixed, get some revenue streams, that are solid and working, get some savings accounts in some of our different parts of the city and the maintenance, et cetera. And I think I'd be good at that. I would really enjoy working with the rest of the council and the mayor and the city manager and put those little things together, get them behind us, and let's go do some neat things. Thank you.
There's a lot of priorities, but, you gotta pick two of them. Well, the streets, still look the same. We look at our backyard septic tank we got back there, it needs to be updated, modernized. See, there's a lot of things you can see it's not right. But, there's a lot of things that go behind trying to get to those things to get to make them, get action on them. And I know that. There's some money involved, there's the votes, 3 votes of city council, it takes 3 votes, so there's some work involved. But those are the things we need to handle first, because that's the streets we can beautify instead of having a regular ditch on the side of a road, where trapped cars can fall in and harm our citizens, And there's areas that really are extremely bad, and they've been there for years. So those are two priorities, two things that are amongst the priority list. And how to handle them, there's things way to go about handling stuff, making decisions. It's short term, mid-range, long term. We can get it done that way, break it down, sectionalize stuff, phases. That's the background that analytically you go at things in an orderly way. And we need to get some kind of order in our town. We're getting passed by. I mean, we're a thoroughfare. Anyway, I think that'd be it to the next question, to lead to another answer to another question. Thank you.
I don't have no priorities. I'm running for mayor. I don't have no authority. But one thing that I can tell you is that we're lacking a lot of communication between the people here in Floresville. And I think that what we need is have a town hall meeting and have the people come out. Here's a prime example. We have 6,500 approximate people living here in Floresville. And I thought this place was going to be packed. Either they didn't get the word, or they're mad, or they're negative, or whatever. But that's why I keep on saying and I keep on telling myself that we need to start doing things for the community, so the community can see the light. That we're serious about getting the community together, having Thanksgiving dinner, having Christmas gifts, having dances for St. Patrick for the elderly and stuff like that. Even though they have already certain things out there going on for them, but we need to get people involved, and that's what's not happening because there's too much negativity going on around here in Floresville. But that's one thing that I definitely want to have is a town hall meeting. Another one, as a mayor, I think is very important to also have a mayor's corner on the newspaper and let people know what the mayor is doing and what's going on, instead of just meeting after meeting. And I think that's what the people are getting very negative, and they're just like, what, I don't want to vote because I don't want what's going to happen. So I'll tell you what, if I was elected as a mayor, and if you don't like Justin Bieber or Miley Cyrus, that's what I would want to bring into the city, because that's where we're going to make money. It's not for us, but it's for the kids, because the kids are going to spend $40, $50 for a ticket, and that's why we're going to get the city going and moving forward. But these are some of the priorities that I'm looking at. That we have to work on getting the city together and get them to start talking to each other and start getting positive, because when you sit at home and you look out the window, you see the same stuff over and over, and the water lines or the sewer lines are not good, they get discouraged and they're paying taxes. But you know what? I've been doing a lot of research, and I've been looking at the internet on grants and stuff like that. There's so many things that it can be, that we can do, but for some reason we're not proactive. You know, we're just waiting for handouts. And you know, I say for myself that if you want to be a title wearer and stuff like that, you can go do it somewhere else. But you know, you're wasting people's time here and taxpayers' money, because we got kids in elementary that are growing and they're coming. You know, they're here too, and that's what we need to do: produce things. So these are some of the priorities that I see that we need to work at. Thank you.
With our next question, we'll start with Frank, from then to Tom, and then to Harry.
You want to read the question?
How do you see Floresville's performance related to the impact of and opportunities presented by the Eagle Ford Shale compared to that of Livonia, Hope, and Stockdale?
Would you mind repeating that question, please?
The question is, how do you see Floresville's performance related to the impact of and opportunities presented by the Eagle Ford Shale compared to that of Livonia, Hope, and Stockdale?
Thank you.
Well, you know, Floresville, Livonia, Polk, and Stockdale, I think they're going through the same things, you know, as far as, you know, their cities being this influx of all this oil-related business. And I'm hearing all the reports about it, you know, their streets, you know, streets are becoming an issue, and our streets are also becoming an issue. That's relative to what's going on with them. But as far as, you know, knowing how they're dealing with it, we need to go ask them, you know, sit down with them, see how they're dealing with it, and get some ideas from them, from their leaders in their cities. And I'm pretty sure, you know, that we can get some kind of a positive responses from, a positive consultation from them. And we can go from there as far as from those cities. And we take what's good and what's going to work for our city. You know, and another thing too, there's a lot of downside to all this growth. I know it's all good and everything, but the housing has gone up. You know, the rental. You know, kids can't even, you know, rent out a home or anything if they want to start up on their own, because the prices are astronomical. You know, so there's something we can, you know, that's not a positive thing to that, and also. You know, they can't even find housing either if they wanted to move out, and if they could afford it to. So, but that's one of the things that an aspect of the oil business that's coming through our town. And we're a major dot, you know, as far as the oil business. You know, the Orange County. I mean, you can go through those two towns, and they're not even compared to what they were 3-4 years ago. I mean, they're open to the oil exploration. They're open to all that. They want drill, and it's good. And they got a major reservoir over there that they're hitting. And so, but they have to come to Floresville. They have to come 181. Pleasanton, they have to come through 97. They got to jet on out down to Stockdale, where they come to Floresville, through Floresville. They pound on our streets, you know. They bring whatever other things that come with the influx of the workers and all the other the stuff that comes with the oil. But it's good. It's a good thing. I like that, because it's a positive thing when you bring economics to especially to a small town that was dead for so many years. So we're moving ahead, and how to get a hold of that? You got to ask. We got to put our heads together and find out how to do it. And it's not too late. We can start doing it Possibly. It's possible. Anyway, thank you.
That question is tough that you ask. It's almost like asking, what do you think about your neighbor across the street in front and the other side in the back, you know? It's almost like that, you know? It's like, it's a tough question. But I personally wouldn't compare myself with any of the cities because we're a city of our own. And I think that if I had to say, this is a good city and it's a great city. We got good people here. But the thing is that they've been beat up so many times. And, I personally wouldn't even think about comparing Lavernia or Stockdale with Floresville. Because if I did, then I'll pay people went up there, So that's what I'm saying. It's a tough question, but the thing is that we have to, get proactive and start doing things, positive things. Because, I've been talking to people. I email Applebee's, I email Pizza Hut, I email Taco Bell, and I've been talking to all these people. And the thing is that, if we want to grow, we have to get proactive. We have to call and make some phone calls, and, it's almost like being a salesman. You get 3 no's and 1 yes, 3 no's and 1 yes, and you keep on moving. But you just can't put your head down this way, it's not going to work. And that's just me. I'm a very positive person, You can tell me no, but you know what? If it's about the city and about the people, that's what it's about. And that's what I'm getting at. That I want to get involved with the schools, hospitals, I almost said funeral homes, but nursing homes, because we need to get these people going. I'm the type of guy that I love entertainment. I like to put projects together and see the outcome of the project, and that's just me, So I can't compare the city of Floresville with another city because Floresville is just that great. But we need leadership, and we need stepping stones to move up. That's what we need. Thank you.
Frank and Tom are both right. We need all these ideas. The impact on all 4 of our towns from the Eagle Ford is pretty much the same. I had a friend of mine here in town, just in conversation about the Eagle Ford, said, we're the gateway to the Eagle Ford Shale, and that's what Floresville is. And we're all going to benefit from it from one degree or another. What we need to do as a city government is plan for it. We don't know how long this is going to last, but we all suspect it's going to be 15, 20 years possibly. What are we going to look like 15 or 20 years from now? That needs to be in a master plan. The city needs to start thinking about these things, start as Frank says, a short-term, mid-term, and long-term planning sessions. These things have to remain flexible, of course, because things do change in the midst of them. But that's what we need to do as far as being ready for the future is we need to plan for it. It's an interesting process whenever you sit down and start scaling out what your town has to have to get to Plan B. For instance, I don't know if our infrastructure is big enough or good enough if a big subdivision were to get started here. I don't know that much about the city yet, but if I win, I'll find out soon. Because we need to have a plan for all of this. We're lucky to have the oil business. We're extremely fortunate as far as the rest of the United States. It's a great thing for our town to have to deal with. I think it's wonderful myself, and I'd like to be a part of planning for it. Thank you.
Our final question is for the mayor candidates. So, Tom, if you would respond to. How do you perceive the role of mayor as outlined by the city charter? How do you plan to fulfill that role if elected?
Well, the way I plan to fulfill this position would be by be a good listener and hear the people out what they want and what they're looking for. And one of the things is that try to be professional about everything. Being in the military, and I always refer back to the military because that's just the way my brain thinks. You know, you just don't come up and go at it. You plan things and you figure what is the course of action I need to be taken and how far am I going to be able to go with it, or am I going to get a detour, or I'm going to have to change at midpoint. And that's the way I foresee myself. You know. By talking to people and at the same time working with the city council and the city manager. Because I think that the city manager is the one that's going to drive this big truck either southbound or northbound. And we have to, you know, support that driver, because I always said that, you know, I used to tell my soldiers, you know, we can't go 100 miles with a bad tire. If we have a bad tire, we got to change it. And the same thing with the soldiers. The same thing with you know, my thinking process that, you know, we can't make plans and everything's falling out the back. And I think that, you know, when you have some, like the city council, you know, you have to also communicate with them and think, you know, put yourself in their position, because they have a very important position too, because the people are looking at them. And people are wondering, well, why do you get elected? And he can't make decisions. But I'm not the type of guy that like to make decisions on the spot. I'm not. I'm the type of guy that I want to see what are the pros and cons, and what if it's going to be a costly or it's not. And that's what I'm hoping that, you know, if I do get elected, that I want to be a listener, and I want to be able to answer the questions. And if I don't have any answers, then I need to get, you know, make that on the top priority. But I'm not going to make no promises telling somebody, yeah, and next week we'll go ahead and do whatever we're going to do, because I don't think it's right. But that's one of the reasons I would like to have a town hall meeting with the city council and, of course, the city manager, and put things in priority. Because I think that a lot of these, I mean, I've talked to so many people, and they all have issues. And I think that we need to, you know, listen to them and put them in priorities and try to work with them. And again, like I said, I'm not a white collar. I'm a blue collar. I like to work. You know, people call me, I'll be there. You know, because that's just the way I am. I've lost so many shirts, taking my shirt off my back, trying to help somebody for those reasons. And there's a lot of times that they do me wrong, but you know what? God is watching. You know, and it comes back and doubles. So that's why I look at it. Because God is my leader, and that's the way I look at it. Thank you.
We'd like to open to questions from the floor. If anyone here has questions for the candidates, if you would please stand and share your questions. You'll need to project ever so slightly, please.
Do I start right now? Okay. First of all, I want to state up front that I wish I could vote in this election. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not in the city. But I am a member of First Baptist Church, and their master planning committee. Also, Tuesday night, and I want to just let everybody know, those folks, if you're going to be a public servant, you need to show up at public meetings. So these meetings. But the real issue, Tuesday night we had a similar event for the county candidates. And I believe the city manager was kind of crafted a question that was hit out of the park. The county, as I understand it, we had a love affair there, and they said we would, in fact, the county, the commissioners, would like to work with the city. And that's not just Floresville, but all the cities. So, as the master planner of First Baptist, I know that when I got here in 2006, there were 32,000 people. Now there's 42,000 people. I know in 10 years, we're gonna have over 50. And 20, we could push 80, okay? So you had it right. Do I hear a commitment from all of you that you will, to gain some synergies, work with the commissioners, work with the other city councils, and ask the commissioners to give you, have special committees, bringing in the church, bringing in the community organizations to come up with a solution, and then to do it economically.
I personally agree with what you're saying, and everything goes hand in hand. Like I said earlier, I think that there's a lot of holes that we've had a lot of holes that are not patched, and people are just falling out of the holes. And one is a church or a community center. I'll give you an example. There's so many things that have happened here in Floresville that I think that if you get the Catholic Church, Baptist Church, and all the other churches together, and because, you know, I think that being in the military, this water right here is the same water that's up there in another country. It quenches my thirst. And I think God is the same way. It's the same person, no matter where you're at. And I think that's what we have to do. That we need to work together as a community, and I agree that the county commissioners and all those people need to, we need to, you know, put a workforce together and make things happen together. Not trying to say, well, you know, this belongs to the county and this belongs to the city. And I think that, you know, I agree with that. Like I said, I love to work. I like to do research and you know, and see what could benefit us and save some money instead of spending money, and it didn't work. And that's who I am. Is that good?
I'd just like to hear a simple yes. Because they said it, and if y'all weren't there, that's one thing, but they said it,
Yeah.
I think they mean it, and we need to hold them to it, and there are synergies that you can gain from all the different councils.
And the reason I'm saying, because I spoke to a gentleman on Blue Bonnet Lane, and I don't know if I should call names or not, but he told me that he spoke to the city council, and the city council told him to go see the county because it was in the city. And if it was me, I would have taken that bull by his horns, and I said, you know what, I'll work with you. I'll get with the county and have them come over here and take care of what the problem is instead of trying to pass over the buck. And this gentleman was very upset about that. Because I think that, you know, we're Americans. We might be different colors or different cultures or whatever, but we're all people. And we have to work together. It's like, you know, I don't drink, but you know what? Festivities and stuff, if I see something happening, I'm going to back up a police officer. Not because, you know, I like to fight, but you know what? They're doing a very important job that we have to back them up no matter what. Not try to go against them. And that's the way I am. I like to work with people, and I'll definitely, you know, if I don't know the answer or don't know where to go, I'll find somebody who can give me the answers so we can work together. And yes, I would love to work with the county and try to make things better for all of us, because, you know, we all have something to offer each other. Whether, you know, somebody knows how to play golf and I don't know how to play golf, but I definitely know how to run. But you know, if we talk to each other, we can learn from each other. And that's what's happening right now. Nobody wants to talk. Maybe it's electronics. But anyway, thank you.
I think we talked to the same guy on Blue Bonnet. Said the same thing to us. Yes, I've already spoken to Judge Jackson briefly about this, and should I become part of the council, he's ready to sit down and talk and visit. and one of the commissioners, I've already spoken to him about it, he's ready to talk. For instance, when I was city manager in Stockdale, I worked very closely with Commissioner Wiley over there on a lot of things that combine city and county. It's part of our social fabric, and yes, I think that's a necessary part of what we have to do as a city, is work together closely with the county. We're all friends.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I agree.
There you
I mean, we're the county seat. You know, they hold their county commissioners meetings here, right? So their accessibility would just be right down the road, so, yeah. And we need to, interact with all the other people that are in the position of, well, they make decisions that affect all of us, okay? So we need to get together on those things. Yeah, I agree. And the churches too, like the leaders from the churches, of course. Yeah, I agree with that too.
I haven't got a phone call yet.
Well, I'm not there yet.
Next question, yes, sir.
This is a hypothetical, but then I have a follow-up. If money, this is a hypothetical, if money wasn't a factor, it always is, what new improvement would you like to make in Floresville that we don't have now, if money was not a factor?
We'll start with Harry.
For all of
Start
it.
with Harry.
Okay.
I had a friend that was very wealthy in the aviation business, and that's what we called him, was an M&R, money no object. Streets. What I have seen neighborhoods and streets that I've never been in since I've lived here. Pete's taken me around to places that I never knew existed. Streets need help. Streets, drainage, infrastructure. The sewer line running down C Street in front of my place, I think, is still Dixie clay pipe. Those are the things that we should fix if we had the bucks.
Oh, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things. And yes. And if I was a mayor, and I got elected to be the mayor, I definitely would be having a town hall meeting, and let the people tell me what they would prefer. Because yes, I agree the streets need to be repaired, but we have, and this is one of my biggest things. We have a lot of motels, we have schools, we have apartments, but how many people, or have the city ever checked the water pressure to save a life? And I think that goes back to the water mains, and sewer lines, and I think the streets will be after that, because we can't do the streets and then go back and tear it up and then put water lines and sewer lines. So I think that it would be either water lines and the sewer lines first, and then the streets, because you hook up a fire engine to it, and everything's going to blow out of the ground, and then we're going to have bigger problems. So that's my answer.
And then, if you have an unlimited amount of resources to do the things you want, there's a long list of things. I mean, we can break it up and get everything done. But I really couldn't give a good answer to that. I honestly can't. I've thought about it. A lot of things need fixing. Like Tom said, you have to find out what the people will want. I can't just say that I would want this for it to be done. But build a big amusement park. Many rides for all the little kids or whatever. Fix up the parks, beautify our parks. Make some parks that are friendly for the little ones. Stuff like that. But as far as unlimited source money, tough one. You know, when you see the position, you know, you want to be a servant to the people, and that's how we have to look at things like that. Now, I can't fathom that, you know, and that's the truth. Well, it's a good question.
I'll forgo my follow-up.
I'm not running for office, but if I had money, it would be Chili's. Just saying. Mr. Miller, you have a question?
About 8 years ago, the city of Floresville issued $8 million in bonds. Of that $8 million, $1.5 million went to the Economic Development Corporation. $1 million went to the city for the first set of expansions to the sewer plant, and $5.5 million went to the building of the event center. This $8 million bond was guaranteed by the city through a 0.25% sales tax and the city's ability to raise ad valorem taxes, property tax. Approximately 5 years ago, that debt was refinanced by the city. It was financed for 5 $100,000 a year payments. Beginning in 2015 or 2016, that payment jumps from $100,000 a year to in excess of $1 million a year. If there was a plan 5 years ago on how to pay that debt when it came to $1 million, I have not seen it. It was not shared with me when I served on the council. But this next council will have to make decisions on that debt. What considerations are you going to make if elected mayor or if elected to a councilman in the refinancing of that debt? And then I have one more question.
We'll start with Frank, please.
I think we got a lot of financial wizards around.